Hey everyone, this video is for the young adults group at St. Pat's called Exploring Spiritual Life. We meet every Thursday over at St. Pat's at 6:30 p.m. So tomorrow is Ash Wednesday, and it's this day where if Catholics go to Mass, they receive ashes. It's also the very first day of Lent. And if you guys get a chance, at St. Pat's at least, the schedule for tomorrow, there's a Mass at 7 in the morning, at noon, and then later on at 6:30, and they'll distribute the ashes there. You get the ashes always distributed on your forehead in a small little cross, and when they distribute the ashes, they're supposed to say one of two things. They're either supposed to say, repent and believe in the gospel, or remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. The Israelites were wandered in the desert for 40 years. Jesus goes off into the wilderness, and he's tempted by the devil for 40 days. And that's what this is for us. Lent is a time when we repent, we believe in the gospel, realize that we are going to die, and perform acts of penance, prayer, and giving. So I want to talk a little bit about this because I always think this is really funny. So, Lent. What does that word mean to Catholics? Well, for most people, Lent's about giving up chocolate, which is generally pretty lame, I think. And it's supposed to be a lot deeper than this. Lent's not about just giving up chocolate. My sister actually asked me that today. What am I going to give up for Lent? And I think this is important. If you get a chance, pay special attention to the gospel reading for tomorrow. The gospel we're reading for tomorrow, and it's this way on every Ash Wednesday, comes from the Gospel of Matthew. It's Matthew 6. And three things are mentioned: almsgiving, prayer, and fasting. These are the three things we're supposed to do during Lent. And the question usually is why? Why would I give alms, pray, and fast? Why do we do this? Well, the answer comes to us in 1 John chapter 2, verses 15 through 17. I'm going to read these real quick. John writes, "Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, love for the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passes away in the lust of it. But he who does the will of God abides forever." Alright, so first thing John tells us is that if we love the world, we have no love for God. And that seems at first fairly extreme. It's my mom's in the world. Does that mean I shouldn't love my mom? And that's incorrect. John also writes in John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son." So that's not what this means. But it does tell us that there is a part of the world we must radically embrace, as God does. But there's a part of the world that we must radically renounce. And John talks about three things: the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. Lust of the flesh is very simple. We're addicted to pleasure. This usually comes in two forms. We tend to have sexual addictions, and then our stomachs. We tend to like pleasureful food. And if we're not careful, these things will control us. And this often leads to a third vice, which is often called sloth. We become lazy. Gandhi once made the comment that a culture that doesn't fast will struggle, especially with these three vices. So just think about our American culture real quick. Is there a huge pornography epidemic? Absolutely. Big problem. Why? No fasting, no self-denial. Do we have a big problem with gluttony, obesity? Do we have issues with maintaining physical health? And the answer is, again, absolutely, those are problems. And laziness. When you hyperindulge, a lot of times you become dissatisfied with things and you give up. And you see that, I think, in our society a great deal. So we struggle with these three things: lust, gluttony, and sloth. So then John also talks about the lust of the eyes. What is this lust of the eyes? And the answer there goes, we struggle with greed. I see things, I want them. And this can lead to envy, is another vice that comes from this, and also wrath. Again, sad and tragic vices if you really think about it. And we counteract our greeds, our envies, even our anger by giving, by alms giving. And lastly, the pride of life. I tend to think that I am God. Most of us do. And how we counteract this is through prayer. We recognize that we are the creature and God alone is the creator. So these three things we're supposed to do during Lent: fast, give alms, and pray. And I would encourage everybody this Lent, instead of giving up chocolate, look at one of the vices. What's something you need to give up, to fast from? And then from that fasting, what do you have to offer? What do you have to give? And how can you pray in this so that you might be dependent upon God? How can we do that? So get a chance, meditate on that, and hopefully everybody has a really beautiful and penitential Lent.